Hi students, welcome to VerandaRace. Today's session is about discussion on the Hindu Editorial of March 25. It's not a very difficult passage to be afraid of. It's very easy passage to get today. So we'll have a short discussion of 10 to 15 minutes and we'll close the session. But from today, I'll ensure that whenever I discuss the vocabulary session or the grammar session, I'll be keeping fewer number of questions so that we understand each and every question very well as we learn the applications of fewer words in better manner, not lot of words together. So that's what I have got the feedback from students. So let us start the discussion of crisis in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is facing an economic crisis with long queues. Queues means queue, people standing in queue in front of petrol stations, a steep rise in prices of essential commodities and frequent blackouts. Blackouts means electricity power cuts and all. Although the COVID-19 pandemic precipitated a crisis of trade imbalance, precipitated means caused a crisis of trade imbalance, the fundamentals of the Sri Lankan economy have always had serious issues. So the author says that Sri Lanka is facing an economic crisis with long queues in front of petrol stations, and there has been rise in price of essential commodities and frequent power cuts. And the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a crisis in the trade imbalance, and the fundamentals of Sri Lankan economy had always had serious issues, not only because of COVID-19 pandemic, but it had always had serious issues. Debt means loans, both domestic and foreign, has been a major problem for Sri Lanka. Even in February 2020, hardly a few months after Gotabaya Rajapaksa assumed office as president, the president is Gotabaya Rajapaksa assumed office as president. His elder brother and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, during his visit to New Delhi, wanted India to reschedule the loan. So, what happened? The elder brother and the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the president of Sri Lanka, he visited New Delhi and wanted India to reschedule the loan. So, for the last 3 months, India has assisted with 2.4 billion, including 500 million loan deferment and 1 billion credit line to enable a supply of essential commodities. So 500 loan is already there on Sri Lanka from India, which is deferred. Deferment means late, not no payment has been made till now. And 1 billion credit line means in the pipeline, the money is in the pipeline to enable the supply of essential commodities. So 1 billion is still to be given to Sri Lanka by India for supply of essential commodities. Apart from approaching Beijing, Colombo has also sought help from International Monetary Fund. So, in addition to approaching Beijing, that is China's capital, that is China for that matter, Colombo means the capital of Sri Lanka, has also sought help from International IMF, International Monetary Fund, shedding its earlier reservation of taking help from the agency. Shedding means leaving apart its earlier reservation of taking help from the agency. Okay, that is International Monetary Fund. Moving ahead, as soon as the shortage of certain essential commodities ends, which the government expects before the start of Sinhala Tamil New Year. So there is a Sinhala Tamil New Year in Sri Lanka. So as soon as the shortage of certain essential commodities ends, there is a shortage of essential commodities in Sri Lanka. If it ends, the government expects it before the start of the Sinhala Tamil New Year, which falls in the middle of April. Steps should be taken for economic recovery. The author says that the Sri Lankan government should take steps for economic recovery. Compulsions of electoral politics should not come in the way of tough measures such as restructuring the administration of concessions and subsidies. So the author says that there should be compulsions of electoral politics that should not come in the way of tough measures such as restructuring the administration of concession and subsidies that the government gives to the people. There shouldn't be any concessions and subsidies given to the people of Sri Lanka by the government, because it needs to be restructured and the administration should be restructured, especially of the concessions and subsidies. So Mr. Rajapaksa should also use the scheduled meeting with Tamil political leadership to create a roadmap. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa should use the scheduled meeting with Tamil political leadership to create a roadmap. Roadmap means planning, blueprint on the issue of political devolution and economic development of the war affected northern and eastern provinces. So northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka are war affected, right? And the political devolution and economic development of the war affected northern and eastern provinces among the areas badly hit by the current crisis. So what happens is, there should be some scheduled meeting with Tamil political leadership to create a blueprint on the issue of political devolution, means instability and economic development of the war affected northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka among the areas badly hit by current crisis. Current crisis means the shortage of essential commodities and all those things, fine. Perhaps Tamil Nadu has already started feeling the impact of the crisis with the reported arrival of 16 persons from Sri Lanka, including 6 women and 7 children, through illegal means. So what happens? Tamil Nadu has already started feeling the impact of the crisis with the reported arrival of 16 persons from Sri Lanka, including 6 women and 7 children, through illegal means. So some illegal people have come to Tamil Nadu through Sri Lanka by illegal means. So Tamil Nadu was home to nearly 3 lakh refugees after the anti-Tamil pogrom of 1983. So there was an anti-Tamil pogrom of 1983. Pogrom means a movement of 1983. So Tamil Nadu was home to nearly 3 lakh refugees. So those Tamil people who lived in Sri Lanka, they were sent back to Tamil Nadu, and there were 3 lakh refugees in the anti-Tamil pogrom of 1983. Regardless of the motive of those who have reached Tamil Nadu clandestinely means secretively, the authorities both in India and Sri Lanka should ensure that the present crisis is not used to step up smuggling activities and trafficking or whip up emotions in both the countries. So, irrespective of the fact that the motive of those who have reached Tamil Nadu secretively, the authorities both in India and Sri Lanka should ensure that the present crisis is not used to increase or augment the smuggling activities and human trafficking or whip up. Whip up means instigate, incite emotions in both the countries. To means stir up. On the contrary, the crisis should be used as an opportunity for New Delhi and Colombo to resolve the Park Bay fisheries dispute, a long-standing irritant in bilateral ties. So this crisis which is there, this should be used as an opportunity for New Delhi, that is India, and Colombo means Sri Lanka, to resolve the Park Bay fisheries dispute. There is a dispute going between India and Sri Lanka on the Park Bay fisheries dispute, which is a long-standing irritant in bilateral ties. So this was the passage for today. We'll ensure that from tomorrow, if you attend the classes, we will have more detailed discussion on the vocabulary front, like more examples are there. Plus, we'll also have a better set of questions. Okay, already I have better set of questions, but a better set of questions in terms of more description, more errors, more common errors, more sentence improvement questions and passage also. With this, I'd like to end the session, students. Thank you so much for being with me. Thanks a lot.